Civic FN2 Type R. First released in 2007, it was met with some pretty dull reviews. When I first got behind the wheel of this car some 7 months ago, expectations were low. Everywhere you look on the internet, it seems to be the same theme. Even Top Gear's now infamous review remains on YouTube to this day, with the title Honda Civic Type R, a not so fun car. Whilst the standard car didn't exactly set my world on fire, spend long enough in the driver's seat and you quickly realise that this is a fantastic car that has so much potential. So what is it like then to drive a highly modified FN2? And is this how it should have left the factory?
My last criticism and last review of the FN2 was that it felt a little bit too soft around the edges. So if there is a car that's going to change my mind on that, it would be this track focus FN2. Literally. When you imagine a K20 or a VTEC Honda built engine, this is exactly what you imagine. I'll be honest, no matter how hard you drove the FN2 in standard trim, you could tell underneath was a good car waiting to come alive, and that's really what Josh has done to this car. I think one of the key things here, and what's really helped, is the DC5 cams and oil pump. I've followed Josh tuning this for a while now, and yeah, we went and got it rematted by Jesse at JCal, and that made quite a big difference. But it wasn't until Josh decided to go and get the DC5 cams and oil pump fitted that it really made a big difference. Because now suddenly the engine feels so free to rev. And I know that the K20 responds so well to breathing mods as well, so it just made perfect sense to start fitting them to it. And what it's done to the car is just really bring it to life.
At the heart of every fantastic hot hatch is an even better engine, and the FN2 is certainly no exception. Whilst the K20 that Honda tuned for this car is a great engine, you can't help but really feel that its performance feels slightly stifled, especially when you compare it to how it feels now. Although the engine does respond really well to light breathing mods, it wasn't until the DC5 cams and oil pump were fitted that the car now feels so willing to rev right to the red line, and that really is where this car is best. Power delivery is smooth, linear, and builds, encouraging you to rev the car higher and higher as you push this car down a back road. Complemented further by the gearbox, there are plans in the future for a differential in this car.
Not that right now, on a road, I can really see a problem with the way this car handles. It's on aftermarket coilovers, it's got a rear arb fitted as well, and with some sticky tyres, the AD08 RSs, it just feels so right. The steering still feels slightly artificial because obviously it is power assisted. However, you can feel plenty through this wheel. That means that, you know, you can really push the car to its limit. And I just love that noise. The brakes initially felt quite spongy in the stock FN2, but what Josh has done is fit some DC5 Brembos, OEM DC5 4-pot Brembos, braided lines, and he's got PBS pads as well. Now, I've never actually used PBS pads, and I know that the Civic crew, the JDM crew, kind of use them a lot because they're used in their race series that they do for the EP3. And in the Clio world, they're not used as much. We've got our preferred Freddo DS3000s and DS11.1s. But I have to say that the brakes in this car right now, along with the braided lines, they feel brilliant. There's so much confidence in them for you to brake, turn in. Yeah, it's a really, really capable car here. You'd feel that when you're on track in this, you can really push the car and enjoy it to its limit without it feeling too unsafe. There's so much feel in the brakes actually, it's unbelievable. If only this box was sorted, which is next up, then that'll be it. But that's more about the way the car feels to drive now. In terms of looks, I think the car looks way better with the front splitter and the rear as well. It really adds to the aggressive look of the car. There's also a whole host of other things that have been done to this car to make it, you know, as special as it is. But I'll be completely honest, on camera, I can't necessarily remember what they are. So therefore, we'll cut to some nice B-roll and we'll talk a little bit more about the exact spec of this engine, the chassis, and the box.
Aside from the DC5 Integra cams and the FD2 Civic oil pump, there are a few other things here that have been done to the engine that give it its newfound revvy nature. This includes a Tegua 421 exhaust manifold, an RBC intake manifold, a World Garage custom 2.5 inch exhaust, and this is all controlled by an ECU Tech management system. The car was mapped by Jesse at JCal Tuning, as shown on the sun visor, and its peak power is now 241 bhp. We won't mention torque figures though, because they're not really worth talking about. This newfound sharpness is also carried through into the chassis of the car. Whilst a stock FN2 isn't exactly bad in the corners, it certainly can't quite rival its Renault Sport counterparts. That being said, the Meister RZ CID coilovers and the Ultra Racing rear arb that are now fitted do go a long way to fixing that. The Rotor-Torque aftermarket wheels and the 808 RS tyres also go a long way to improving the way the car drives. They're also spaced by 15mm at the front and 20mm at the rear. The interior, which is partly missing, is soon to be completely stripped, including door cards. Inside the car it's fairly noisy, but not massively intrusive, and it's certainly worth persevering with given the amount of weight saved. It's all of these modifications that build together to create a more dialed in version of the FN2, a car that is more responsive to driver inputs and does feel more rewarding to drive. It's actually fairly difficult at this point to pinpoint one single modification that's made the biggest difference, but I do feel that it's the head work done to the car that really allows you to extract the FN2's full potential.
It's all those modifications that make this such an exciting car to drive now. The hills are alive with the sound of VTEC. Such a composed chassis, really is. I think it's these tyres, to be fair. I think they're what make the massive difference. And the fact that the pads are so good and they hook up so well means that you really do feel inspired to push the car a bit harder than you would normally, because you know that you've got those brakes to fall back on if you need them. Looks wise, I think that the FN2 has always been a little bit divisive, you know. People say they like it, others don't. Honda over the years have always, you know, even with their FK8 right now, they've pushed the boundary a little bit with what a hot hatch should look like. The FK8 does, in my opinion, look maybe a bit bloated, but it is a very capable car all the same, so does it really matter? Probably not. But the way this car looks now, over standard, is fantastic, I think. Like, compared to a normal one, I've seen a few of them about recently in red, and in standard trim with stock wheels and without the exterior styling bits that Josh has added, they look a bit mundane and a bit boring. But I think that given the spec of this car, 240 horsepower, naturally aspirated, screaming to the red line, the looks of this car now match the character and the charm when you're behind the wheel. There is inside a bit of a thing to address, and that is that you'll probably notice that the B-roll, 1 minute there's stock seats, the next is aftermarket, and that is because Josh fitted these over a couple of weekends ago, and I've been filming B-roll and bits of this car during that period. So there's a few bits that have even changed to the car since I filmed it, and there will be bits changing straight after I film it as well. There's actually some aftermarket door cards to go in as well, and the full interior is going to be stripped. We're talking literally everything, so that would be really interesting. It's loud at the moment, so it'll be even louder, but given that it is a fully bred track car at this point, it makes perfect sense. The Bimcaros that I'm sat in are really comfy. I would describe myself as someone that's a bit broader shouldered. So I do feel a bit like I'm hunched forward slightly because these bits here are sort of pushing my shoulders in, but it does feel pretty comfortable. And yeah, I could see myself in this for a longer journey for sure. I guess to really answer the question, is this how the Civic FN2 should have left factory? Given the capabilities of this engine, bearing in mind that it's only had cams and an oil pump fitted really, it's been tuned up, it's had a few breathing mods chucked on it, I think it is a bit of a shame that Honda didn't release the FN2 with a little bit more power. That probably would have shut down some of the earlier criticism. It would have meant that the FN2 tanked the EP3 in that now infamous drag race on Top Gear, which made everyone believe the FN2 was slow and not worthy of its predecessor. And yeah, I think that perhaps in hindsight, Honda could have done a bit more to the FN2.
Although the FN2 wasn't exactly class leading at the time of its release and other better hot hatches were available from factory, spend long enough behind the wheel of this car, even in standard trim, and you'd be a fool not to realise that it is a special car. After all, this was the last naturally aspirated Type R ever made. You do have to wonder, had the Civic left the factory with this much power, or been this dialed in, perhaps it would have been critically acclaimed. Perhaps to this day it would be looked back at as one of the best hot hatches or Type Rs Honda have ever made. Unfortunately, we'll never know. But what we do know is that when tuned, the FN2 Type R is a fantastic car. And as we move away from screaming, naturally aspirated petrol engines and to electric vehicles, cars like this should surely be cherished.